Hey guys, Janelle Copeland here from The Cake Mamas. Today I want to talk to you about 5 things no one tells you when owning a bakery. Let's dive in. If you're new to this channel, welcome. My name is Janelle Copeland and I owned an award-winning bakery called The Cake Mamas in Glendora, California, which is in Los Angeles, for about 12 years. I started from home. There was a crazy story there after I lost my job. If you're interested in hearing more about it, let me know in the comments and I'll put together a video on how I started from home and then 18 months later got into a brick and mortar. In this video, I want to share 5 things that I think you should know about if you're looking to own a brick and mortar bakery. The first one is you won't need half of the things that you purchase. And I know this from experience, but also all of the bakery owners that I coach and consult with. I see them going to all these cake shows. They go all over the place. They buy all of these things, whether it's a cake pop roller, whether it's 500 cookie cutters, crazy airbrush machines. Depending on what your specialty is, you kind of want to stay niche to that. You do not need to spend a ton of money on things that you will likely not use in your brick and mortar bakery, and here's why. You need things that are going to be NSF if you're working in a brick and mortar bakery, and that stands for the National Sanitization Foundation. That means it's been tested, it's been inspected, it's certified to be in a food establishment. And a lot of those gadgets that you think are really cool are not NSF. So that's one of the reasons. The other reason is like being in a bakery means that you're focused on speed and efficiency and you want to get things going and make things as quickly as possible. If you've got a little gadget for every single thing that you do, it's likely that it will wind up being a waste and your employees will just figure out a faster, more efficient way to do things. So don't get the cake pop roller. Trust me, I wasted hundreds of dollars on that thing. We never used it. We wound up being much faster rolling cake pops by hand. So spend less money on gadgets and more money on high quality equipment because you will be using your oven, maybe even a sheeter, things like that you're gonna be using every single day. You wanna invest in high quality equipment, not so much the gadgets. Kind of tagging off of number 1, which is save the money, less money on gadgets, we're gonna get into number 2, which is less space is actually better. And here's what I mean. I don't know if you've ever watched that movie, The Founder. It's the story of McDonald's and how it got started. It's actually a great movie and I recommend all of my Passion to Profit students watch it so you can understand that you don't actually need a 2 or 4 or 6,000 square foot business to be profitable. As a matter of fact, the Cake Mamas Bakery was a whopping 850 square feet, yet we made millions of dollars in that space and we kept things really tight and it was very efficient. So let me tell you the reasons why you don't need as big of a bakery as you think. Number 1 is efficiency. You want to be able to keep your mixers right next to the mixing bowls. The mixing bowls should obviously be right next to the attachments and all of that stuff should be right next to your ingredients. All of that stuff should be right next to your dishwasher or your sink because you're probably going to be washing things often. So often when I'm visiting other bakery owners in their bakeries, I see that they've got these big, beautiful spaces, but they're really not operating very efficiently. So they've got a space where they're making the things, maybe on a table. They've got ingredients over here. They've got a sink over here. And the list goes on and on of how far they have to walk to get to each thing, right? So that's wasting time. And it's just not very helpful or productive for your employees, especially when you need to be mass producing in order to pay for everything, labor, your rent, all of the things, right? So I recommend starting small and just making sure that you stay really organized. Again, you don't need half the things you think you do, but most importantly, you need to just be able to turn around and kind of not walk a ton of steps to get to where you're trying to go for the next ingredient or the next tool that that you need to make something happen. So keep things really small. You need less space than you think. Now, I know that's gonna be a controversial kind of tip because a lot of people are gonna say, well, I run out of space all the time. And I'm just gonna challenge you. Are you running out of space because you're not taking the time maybe every quarter to purge? Are you running out of space because you're carrying too many things and you need to scale down your menu for efficiencies? Are you running out of space because you're a hoarder? Lots of other reasons, right? But if I can make it work in 850 square feet, then you should definitely not be shooting for a 4,000 or a 6,000 square foot bakery. I'm telling you, you need less space than you think. And you wanna be able to grow out of a space. And then lastly, it's just gonna save you so much money, right? You're paying for your rent by square foot. And so if this is a new venture for you and it's the first time you're ever owning a bakery, then you probably wanna start small and then grow out of that space and then graduate into something bigger. So start small. Number 3 is you're gonna need processes for everything. I know this sounds kind of silly, but if you're a school teacher, there is literally a standard operating process for how to bring your kids in from the playground, how to dismiss them from class, how to grade them, right? So it doesn't matter what job you have, your bakery is no different. You need to create standard operating procedures that teach your employees how to help a customer, how to answer the phone, how to take an order, and even things like how to mop the floor. Health inspectors are gonna be looking for consistency. So something as simple as like, put this in the fridge at the end of the night, well, how is it gonna be stored? How's it gonna be stored for freshness? How's it gonna be stored for organizational purposes? And how's it gonna be stored to make sure that you are meeting all the requirements of the health inspections that you will get randomly as a brick and mortar business owner? You'll have to teach people over and over and over how to do things. And so trust me when I tell you putting a process together will make your life a lot less stressful, and you won't have to be repeating yourself so often, because if you have a process, then anybody would be able to come in and help you. All they have to do is follow the process. So think about all of the things that are gonna be repetitious in your business. You should document those processes so that way when you're training and onboarding new employees, you can actually show them how to win at their job and how to do a great job, versus leaving everything up to interpretation and then potentially setting yourself up to be disappointed because someone didn't do it the way that you wanted them to do it. So put a process in place for everything. All right, number 4 is going to trigger some of you. So often I hear people talk about, I don't trust my employees. I don't know if I should be giving away my recipes. And so I'm just gonna dispel all of that chatter and tell you that number 4 is, as a business owner, you've gotta be really trusting. You need all the help that you can get. And if you can pass a recipe to an employee and they can walk through that recipe step by step because you've not only given them the process, but also the recipe, then it's gonna make your life so much easier. Sharing recipes is something that's really difficult for some reason for bakery owners to do in our industry. And I know you think that people are gonna steal your recipes, but it really is something you have to kind of flip on its head and look at it in a different way. It makes your life miserable when you're the only one that knows how to make the products. And you can't walk around and think that every single employee that you hire or bring into your business and share a recipe with is actually gonna steal that recipe, open a brick and mortar right next to you, and become a competitor. You're going to need to be really trusting. You wanna empower your employees not only with the ability to make things without you hovering over them, but another thing that you need to be trusting about is trusting them with your numbers. You wanna communicate things like your goals, your sales objectives, so that your team can help you actually achieve those goals. I can't tell you how many times we had a holiday at the Cake Mamas where we would tell them, today the goal is $10,000 and here's how we're gonna do that. Do you have any ideas on how we can do that in your department? Or if we sell this for this amount, how many do you think you could make? Using your employees to understand things like how your numbers work and how the sales work in your business is really where you're gonna be able to solicit some great ideas, because you're not gonna be able to figure things out on your own. So number 4, you're gonna need to be really trusting, not only with recipes, but also with your numbers, because you need the help of your employees. They've got great ideas, they'll be able to collaborate with you, and oftentimes when it comes to recipes, they'll also be able to help you like tweak some of those things or even come come up with new recipes for you. So if you trust your employees, they'll stick around a lot longer than you think, and they'll become loyal, and it'll just be a great working relationship. So don't act like you don't trust people. Don't think that everyone's out to steal things from you. You've got to build that as a leader. Number 5 is leadership. This isn't something we talk about a lot in the baking industry, but I'm going to tell you, in any business, if you are a business owner of any kind, leadership is key. So often we hear people talk about there's no good employees anymore, and I'm here to tell you there are more bad leaders than there are actually bad employees. Think back to your very first job. Were you motivated? Did you have a boss that you hated? Did they inspire you to do a great job? Did they show you exactly what was expected of you? Those are things that are required of us as business owners that we don't really think of when we're trying to get into a brick and mortar bakery business, right? We're worried about growing our social media following. We're worried about baking the best products. We're worried about our competitors, but really we need to be worried about, when I find help, am I going to be able to lead them to hit goals that are going to help us pay our rent every month, right? And so focusing on leadership is key, and I think it's so overlooked, and so I wanted that to be number 5 so you knew how important it was. Being a good leader is the single most important thing when it comes to you taking your business to the next level and opening a brick and mortar. So I suggest leadership books, I suggest attending leadership trainings, leadership conferences, taking Passion to Profit, but you've really got to focus on yourself, and a lot of people don't talk about that. They just talk about having great products or, having a big social media following, but I'm telling you that being a solopreneur is not the way to go, especially if you're in a brick and mortar bakery. You need to learn how to lead people so that you're not doing all of the things all of the time. That's no way to grow your business, and it's no way to run a business, quite frankly. I have tons of things that I can share with you from my 12 years of experience of owning a brick and mortar bakery. But if you have questions that are specific to owning a brick and mortar, I would love for you to leave them in the comments, and I'm happy to do other videos on those. Sometimes people want to know, well, how much does it cost to actually run a brick and mortar? Like, what do your expenses look like? So if you'd like to know a financial addition to this, things you don't know about running a brick and mortar bakery, let me know in the comments. I'm happy to put some answers together for you in future videos. I hope that this was helpful for you. If you know someone who could benefit from this, please share it with them. Be sure to subscribe so that way you can be notified when we have new videos, and I will see you soon.